This is Austin Reaves was on All the Smoke podcast. You know we had to talk about this. And he talks about his NBA draft process and tiering teams that would best fit his skill set. And the Pistons were one of the teams willing to draft him at 42. But according to him, he told Detroit, hey, don't draft me. I'm going to give credit to Troy Weaver first for recognizing Austin Reaves' game and how he could potentially fit it next to Cade Cunningham. And honestly, dude, good for Austin Reaves, man. Seriously. He recognized that his game would thrive next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I think almost any player would. And he knew if he played well next to those two guys, he would be getting a bigger contract. He bet on himself, he gambled, and he won. He won big. He's making, I think, like $12 million a year now for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, however, I will say this, that I think he will be exposed when his role becomes a little bit larger and the presence of LeBron James and Anthony Davis is no longer taking the defensive eyes off of him. But what were your thoughts on this interview with Austin Reaves?
I actually did enjoy it. If you guys haven't watched it, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson do a really good job. Just their whole podcast as a whole, I do enjoy it. I like the fact that Austin Reaves just took a chance on himself. Yeah. And I'll applaud him for that because there were some teams that wanted to give him a two-way. There were some teams that, like the Pistons, wanted to draft him at, I believe, 41 or 42 over Isaiah Livers. And he said, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to go to Detroit, basically. He didn't, say that in the interview, but he said, I wanted to take a chance on myself. Milwaukee and LA were my 1 and 2 teams. I don't have a problem with him taking a chance on himself. The only thing I had a problem with during this podcast was he said I tiered teams in Detroit called. Matt Barnes made a little comment saying Detroit shouldn't be on anybody's tier. That was my only issue with that whole podcast. I don't understand why he had to make that comment, why it was necessary. It's just like a little pot shot. I don't know if he's still a little bit salty.
I don't know what he'd be salty about. I don't know. But let's just talk about Austin Reaves just for one more second. So do you think, how would Detroit know they didn't want him to draft him? So you're saying he didn't have that conversation with him in the interview process? I think that's where it would have to take place, though, right? Just say, hey, look, don't draft me. I don't want to be here. As soon as my contract is up or whatever, I'm out. It could have been something like that. I mean, I don't know. I do doubt it a little bit just because you're a player with the opportunity to have the opportunity to hear your name called. That's kind of a big deal. It's something that everybody that's ever picked up a basketball dreams about, and you're telling a team not to. And my thing is, if you're such a good basketball player, it shouldn't matter what environment you go to. You should be able to thrive in almost on any team. So I don't know where that conversation had, but I would give him more respect if he just came out and said, yeah, we were on the phone and there was 30 seconds left on the clock. And they're like, hey, we're going to draft you. I said, no, don't. And then he hung up. I would have a lot more respect. But, again, I'm glad he gambled on himself and got what he wanted out of it. But I don't know. It kind of rubs me the wrong way just a little bit with Austin Reaves. I'm rooting for him, but to tell a team that you don't want to be drafted by him blows my mind, dude. It really does.
I think it was more of a fit with him. He didn't feel like the Pistons would be a good fit. And who am I to say if he would be a good fit here or not? I'm thankful that we did draft Isaiah Livers in the second round, but to your question, I think it was more of his agent doing more of the negotiating than anything else.
Probably right.
Agents basically take care of anything that, whether it's draft, trades, whatever. His agent was probably telling teams like the Pistons he doesn't want to play in Detroit. His teams are in Milwaukee and Los Angeles, and he went undrafted, but he did get signed by the Lakers. So one of my buddies has told me that he was like a Walmart version of Alec Caruso, just his replacement. But he's a damn good player.
He is. He is.
I had no problems with him during the podcast. It was just Matt Barnes just kind of taking a pot shot for no reason, and we had posted that video, and someone called him Becky with the good hair and mentioned Derek Fisher, and he actually replied on my Instagram, and I was just like, oh God, look what you guys did.
I will say that my real issue was with Matt Barnes as well. And I feel like it's so unfair and so unnecessary to take shots at Detroit. You heard me whine about this on the last podcast. Like I did this with the other draft guy that was on there talking about Cade Cunningham and everything. But I'm going to say this, and I'm willing to bet that one day when Detroit starts winning, and this day will be soon, that we will all hear Matt Barnes say something along these lines. And he will say that he fucks with Detroit, and he always has. I am willing to bet that he will walk back what he said and say something like that, like all of us forgot about it. And it will be our job to remind him that we did not forget that shot that he took about Detroit. We will never let him forget.
We'll see. I mean, I made Gilbert Arenas put on a Pistons jersey and apologize.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
I clipped him when he said, with the Monty Williams stuff, saying like, why did Detroit give him $13 million? And then he comes on with the Tayshaun Prince jersey the next show. So social media is a powerful tool. And, when I see certain players talking crazy, I clip them. And I'll post it. I don't care.
So would you welcome Austin Reaves if in a few years he's like, hey, I want to sign with Detroit?
No.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too.
Not that he's not a good player. I don't really see a role for him here.
No, I'm saying again, Detroit's on a winning, they're winning more. And Austin Reaves like, hey, look, he's like 30. He's like, hey, look, I can help you guys out. I don't know if I would welcome him after this. I'd be like, oh, we're now on your tier. That's what I would want to say to him. We're now on your tier. Now that we're starting to win. But I don't know.
I don't think anyone gives a shit about Austin Reaves or Matt Barnes.
Hey, there are some people that I remember when Austin Reaves, earlier this offseason, when Austin Reaves, before he signed the extension or whatever, re-upped with the Los Angeles Lakers, there were Pistons fans asking, like, hey, what would it take to bring him to Detroit? And I feel like those Pistons fans now would be like, you know what, forget about that guy. I feel like there are some people out there, Anthony, that take this stuff as personally as I do. And those guys, dude, they're my fans.
Yeah, I see them on Twitter. I see you guys having conversations, and it's very entertaining.
I'm really in those.